Hello everyone, I am Bradley Sward, Associate Professor of Computer and Information Science at the College of DuPage in Glen Ellyn, Illinois. And this video today is going to look at Activity 9 for Microprocessor Assembly Language. So let's take a look at the problem and let's take a look at how to solve it. So over here on the right, here is a C++-ish program. There's no way to do some of these things in just pure C++. So that's why some of this is commented out. And you can see we're only using registers. We do not need to use the data segment for anything but the stuff I'm going to print out. So we can just get started with those kind of things. We're going to need 4 different print statements. So let's just set up, those are the only 4 variables we're going to need. I'm just going to steal this for the moment here so I don't have to type it in. And so I'm just going to say here, I'll call this enter signed. I'll call it signed 1. And this is a byte. Oh, let me reduce this down a little bit. I can move this over to give space here. Come on. Oops. There we go. So comma 0. Make sure it's a string. We need the comma 0 if we're going to use the Irvine library. I know in the previous activity we did everything manually just to kind of get used to using pointers and moving memory around, moving data around like that. But we do not need that for these examples. But we need the null terminating character. Otherwise, things are not going to print correctly. Here, let me just show. I can even show you right now. Without the null terminating character, if I go move edx comma offset enter signed 1, and then I call write string, what will print? You can see up at the top, enter assigned integer colon space, enter assigned integer value colon space. I'm like, oh my goodness. And that's because it just kept on going until it found a 0. That's in C++ or C. That's all that works out like this. It goes until it finds a 0, a null terminating character, and then it stops printing. So just to show, we do need that. And so enter a second signed integer value. That's my second one here. And then I'm going to say, I'll call it sum is. I like to line things up just to make it a little easier on myself here. Sum is. Make sure I put the null terminating character, and difference is, and do the same thing. I'll just type it out this time. Okay, so that sets up the 4 different print statements we're going to use, and everything else from here on in should use the registers, and we're going to use a lot of the Irvine functionality to make this thing work. Okay, so one of the main goals of this assignment is just to get used to using the Irvine library. It's one of those, a human, Kip Irvine, created this. There's no rhyme or reason, or they can't get around it. Like, why is it this way? It is because Kip Irvine decided things this way. And as you get more and more experienced, you start writing the code as opposed to using the code. And so therefore you can start forcing other people to use your libraries as well. But for today, we're just going to have to use what he's got for us. And so let's just kind of work through. I'll do the loop last because the loop is actually the easiest part of this thing. But I say clear the screen. That is as easy as just calling clear screen. Clear scr. I like to clear screen. Okay, move the cursor to row 10, column 10. My recollection of this, and I'm just going off my memory, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and we'll go back and fix it. But I can move into the DL register a 10. I can move into the D8, DH register a 10. And then I can go to XY. And let's see what happens if I do this, and then I call write string to print out enter assigned value, because that's the next line here. I already kind of went ahead and did that. So let's see what we get. There we go. So it's at 10, 10. So I know it looks weird because columns and rows are hugely different in their sizes, at least in a DOS or a command line environment. But this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 over and 10 down. So that looks pretty good. Now the only question is, which one is the X coordinate and which one is the Y coordinate? And we will figure that out when we get to the next one just to make sure things are working. Okay, so now what I can do now that I have that going for me is I can do cin into ex, and that's already done for us. All I have to do is call write or I'm sorry, read int, and this will take whatever the user types in, and it'll put it into the EAX register. So whatever number I type in will go into the EAX register. And so that's why I'm saying here, I want to go ahead and move from EAX into EDI. And so that's because I know I'm going to need to store this here. I'm going to do this a second time now. So I can borrow this. All this code right here I can borrow. Oops. EDI, EDI. I didn't mean to do that. Did I say that? Okay. There we go. I meant that. Because take whatever was coming out of the readInt function into the EAX register, copy it over, so we can go ahead and do this a second time. So let me see. Again, I got a 50-50 shot, which means I have a 100% chance of doing it wrong. Let's just see what happens. And this one says to move into ESI, so I'm just going to do that there. But everything else is exactly the same. So let's see what happens now. I run this, and they go enter assigned value 8. Oh, I did it right. I got the right one. So, yep. So it's supposed to print out right underneath it as opposed to right over it. 821. So what would happen if I had this flipped and I did this the wrong way? You'll see. It'll be pretty simple to see this. I'll put a 9 in. I hit enter, and then it writes right over everything I did before. So bring this back, and so this part is done. Everything clear screen, everything up to here is done. Now that the first value is stored in the EDI register and the second value that I entered is stored in the ESI register. Okay, so now what's left is these lines of code and then a little pause and then a loop, and we're pretty much done. So let's take a look. Okay, so it says I want to take EAX equals EDI plus ESI. So there's no simple way to do this, and we're not gonna presume anything from previous lines of code. There are ways to simplify our lives and make things as efficient as possible, but you're just learning, and in ways I'm just learning too, even though I've been doing this for a while. And especially with this stuff, you're always learning. So when it comes to just better ways to do things, there's always someone who knows a better way, a more efficient way to get things done. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say move into the EAX register ESI, and then I'm going to add into the EAX register EDI. This would be a one-liner if I presumed, oh, ESI is already stored in EAX, but I'm not going to, again, let's just take it, let's just do literal translations here because it's easier to understand. Okay, so put ESI into EAX and add EDI, which is the same as EAX equals EDI plus ESI. Okay, so now I want to move, let me just steal this guy, because I want to print things. So I'm going to print the sum is, or sum is. That's up here, remember, that's the sum is. And it says nothing about cursor, so I'm not going to play with the cursor. I'm not going to worry about it. Call write string, and then I'm going to move into the EAX register. I'm going to move, it's already in, like, duh. It's already in the EAX register, so I can immediately just call write int. And let's just try this out. Let's just make sure. I like to take very small baby goose steps when it comes to this. So enter assigned value 5, enter a second assigned value 7, and then it turns out the sum is plus 12. Yep, it's working as intended. And so now the final step here is to do the same thing with subtraction and difference. That's what subtraction is, difference. And so I can just take my sub here. Oops, I got to do this. I have to do this the opposite way this time. For addition, it doesn't matter the order of the operation or the operators or the operands. But in this case, it does matter because I got to put EDI in first so I can subtract off ESI. And the sign will be flipped if you do this wrong. If the answer is supposed to be positive 4, you'll get a negative 4, and vice versa. You got to watch out for this, and this is supposed to be difference. And now this should do everything. Enter assigned value 6, enter assigned value 11, and so it should be the sum is 17, the difference is negative 5. That's correct. The first value minus the second. ESI, EDI, yep, so there you go. It's 6 minus 11 is negative 5. I did forget the end lines here, so let me just add that in here. CRLFs, no big deal. Okay, so now it says pause for 2 seconds. So I'll move into the EAX register 2000 milliseconds and call delay. And now you'll see here, okay, enter assigned value 8, enter assigned value 2. So it should be 10 and 6, positive 10, positive 6, and then there will be a 2-second delay before the program ends. So ready, and 0, 1, 2. Look at my timing. I'm like the human metronome here. And so the sum is 10, and the difference, this guy minus this guy, gets me everything I'm supposed to get. And so we're pretty much there. I need that call wait message down here for the system pause. But now the final thing left to do in this whole thing is just to use the loop. And I set this up. Remember how the loop instruction works? As we get deeper into coding in x86, you'll find that the loop instruction is actually, not as helpful as you might imagine up front. But for today and for last week, it's perfectly legitimate. But this is a perfect example of using the loop, because I'm going to set ECX to 3, and then I'm going to keep going. Hey, are you 0? Hey, are you 0? Hey, are you 0? And I can do that, just pretty simply. So I'm going to go up here. It doesn't really matter where you set it as long as it's way up near the top of the program. I'm going to move 3 into the EAX register. Anytime I use a loop, I need a label so I can loop back. But really, at the end of the day here, coming down, gotta make sure I put it in the right place, put it here, loop again. Now it'll work, because it'll start at 3. It's outside the loop, so it doesn't, oh, sorry, oh my God, talking and thinking. Move 3 into ECX register, sorry guys. And then, so it'll loop, because what happens again in the loop operation is it immediately decrements ECX, and then it asks, hey, is ECX 0? And if ECX is not 0, it loops its way back to that label, whatever label you selected, and if it is 0, it falls through. So that should, can I get it all on one thing here? This should do it all. It should do everything that's expected for the activity now. So 3 times over. 4, 9, there's 13 and a negative 5. Okay, do it again. 9, 4, 13 and positive 5. All right, 8, 8 gives me a 16 and a 0. 1, 2, and then program ends. So that pretty much covers how to do this activity in x86 assembly language. And again, just getting used to how the Irvine library functions, big part of this. But of course, getting used to translating high-level languages, or just problem solving from English into C++ into assembly language, it can be tricky for pretty much everyone, no matter what our experience levels are. So as always, if you have any questions, you have any concerns, please email me at sward@cod.edu or comment here on YouTube, and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. So as always, thanks for sticking it out with me. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you next time.